If you're feeling lost in life, it can sometimes feel like you're in a car driving through fog. You're not really sure where you are, and you're also not really sure where exactly you're going. And there is a general caution and unease as you try and navigate through this seemingly unending stretch on your journey. Without knowing exactly where you are and exactly where it is that you're actually going, you don't really know where you should start. When you're stuck in this metaphorical fog bank of life, it's hard to tell that you're making any meaningful progress at all because you don't know where exactly you are and you don't know where you're moving towards. And whatever progress you're making, you can't actually see what is happening in the fog. So the question is, what exactly should we do when we feel like we're stuck in this perpetual fog stage of life, not knowing which way to go or how to get out of it? Why we sometimes feel lost in life? Number 1, we compare ourselves to others. Comparing ourselves to others is by no means a new invention due to the advent of social media. We've been doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years as humans, but it allows us to compare ourselves to people we never would have met if not for social media. We start to compare ourselves to people on a completely different journey to our own, with completely different backgrounds and demographics. Bearing in mind, this is not something new. We've been doing this for hundreds of years. The term keeping up with the Joneses originated from a comic strip in the year 1913. As Theodore Roosevelt said, comparison is the thief of joy. There is no good that can come from comparing ourselves to others. That is just blatantly inviting jealousy, vanity, and pride into our lives. Ask yourself, what good can come from comparing yourself to someone else? If this activity doesn't bring you any good, then it is not useful to you. We can indeed learn from others, take what we've learned and implement it into our own lives. But that is completely different from comparing ourselves to others. That is just learning from other people. It is only when we start comparing ourselves to the version of ourselves from yesterday and making improvements on that version of ourselves that we'll start to make meaningful progress with less stress and less anxiety. Number 2, we give in to FOMO and shiny object syndrome. For the 2 people out there that does not know what FOMO is, FOMO stands for fear of missing out. We tend to have fear of missing out because we think that missing out might negatively affect our lives in some way. If we do not get the latest widget, we risk becoming a social outcast. If we do not catch a trend, we might miss some financial gains along the way. So naturally, we want to keep informed and keep up to date with everything. Shiny object syndrome is basically FOMO, but it pertains more to when you're jumping from one opportunity to the next in fear that there might be another better opportunity if you just keep looking. For example, say you started a dropshipping store, but then you hear that social media marketing agencies are making quite a lot of money. So you pivot from one thing to the next without giving yourself enough time to making whatever you're pursuing currently a success. Both of these, FOMO and shiny object syndrome, both stem from overvaluing other people's opinions. It also stems from insecurity and uncertainty in your self-belief about not being able to accomplish what you set out to do. Unrealistic social pressures. A lot of our unconscious behavior stems from what we were taught and led to believe what we need to do by society around us. There's nothing inherently wrong with this, and we shouldn't be mad at society for this fact. That is just naturally how we operate as humans. If we're brought up to act in a certain way, we will naturally be inclined to do it in a similar fashion in the future. However, we are not confined to these societal pressures that tells us we need to think and act in a certain way. Fourthly, fear of failure. No one wants to fail, and there is a bunch of reasons as to why people don't want to fail. If you have a room full of people and you ask them, who of you wants to fail? I'm pretty sure that no one is going to raise their hand. But if you take that same group of people and you ask them, who of you wants to be a massive success? I think pretty much all their hands will go up. We are taught that failing is bad and should be avoided, and success is good and should be applauded. In competition, the winner gets the glory, the academics get praised, and the others get red pen on the exam papers. We are brought up with a bad view on failure in order to push us to success. But this creates a risk-averse type of person who, if given the opportunity, will take the path of least resistance, lean away from risk and failure, which generally translates to leaning towards the known. We will have to overcome our fear of failure and use failure as a feedback loop for success en route to creating a life that we love. Now that we've delved into the factors that might contribute to us feeling lost in life, and pinpointed the key obstacles to overcome. Let's shift our focus to strategies of navigating and overcoming these obstacles. How to overcome feeling lost in life. Number 1. Every person has their own path. Like we mentioned above, nothing good comes from comparing ourselves to others. It only brings misery and steals our joy. So instead, when you see people that by others' social standards and metrics seem like they're doing well in life, just remember that you are on your own journey and you're writing your own story. You are on a completely different journey than anyone else, and some disadvantages in life that you will never know about. And similar can be said about you. Each person is so unique that it's actually laughable if you want to try and compare yourself and measure yourself to anyone other than the person who you were yesterday. So remember, you are writing your own story, and your own story will look different. So instead, just optimize that you write and have the best story you can, and enjoy the process along the way, instead of dwelling on someone else's story. Number 2. Focus on less but better. There's a quote by Marcus Aurelius that says, "If you seek tranquility, do less," or more accurately, do what is essential, what the logos of the social being requires, and in the requisite way, which brings a double satisfaction to do less but better, because most of what we do and say is not essential. If you can eliminate it, you will have more time and more tranquility. Ask yourself at any moment, is this necessary? But we need to eliminate unnecessary assumptions as well, to eliminate the unnecessary actions that follow. In this age again of always being active, being reachable, and always being distracted, this quote seems more real and more relevant than ever. By taking away the unnecessary things and focusing on the vital few things that bring us joy and satisfaction, instead allows us to be less busy and focusing more of our time on what matters. Focusing on less activities and focusing more time on the few activities that matter, we will see an increase in our results and we will gain more satisfaction. When we focus on less but more important things, we will feel more fulfilled, less stressed, and less anxious. Focus our efforts and energy on pursuing intentional living rather than everything all the time all at once. Number 3, stop caring what other people think. Caring about what other people think affects our lives way more than we might think. For most of us, it comes as a natural instinct to wonder what other people think of us. From walking in a public place and wondering what people might think of our messy hair that day, to wondering what people might think if you make a change in your career path that you've been really working on for the last 5 years. In all honesty, most people are so consumed by their own fears and insecurities that most of them won't even notice your messy hair, and odds are that very quickly they'll forget about the change in career that you've made. Caring too much about what other people might think can lead to people pleasing, fear of man, general exhaustion and anxiety. Once we stop caring about what other people think, we will feel much lighter, we will feel more confident, more in control, and a greater sense of clarity. Memento Mori. Remember that you are mortal. You are not getting out of life alive, so make sure that you're making the most of it. This will reinforce the previous point we made about not caring too much about what other people think, because if we really meditate on our own mortality, chances are we won't care what other people think about us anymore, because we're focused on making the most of what we have. Seems so trivial in the light of the life you have on earth. Focus on reminding yourself that life is fragile and precious. When we remind ourselves that life is fragile and life is precious, we change our perspective and start shifting towards what is essential and what is important in our lives. It gives us a new appreciation for life, and from that point we can start to act in a different manner. It gives us a new appreciation for life, and from there we can take different actions as a result. Number 5, creating our North Star. Creating a North Star is very much like goal setting, but with a more practical and emotional focus. Write down how you want your life to look like in the next 3 years. Make it as detailed as possible. What do you do? What do you want to achieve? Etc. After you finish the first exercise, break down that 3-year vision into max 3 to 5 achievable goals that you can do to get you to where you want to be. Then take those 3 to 5 goals and write a daily, weekly, and monthly checklist for everything that you need to do every single year to get to your 3-year goal. You can use checklists or action plans to gauge where exactly you are en route to your 3-year plans, and use that to course correct yourself where you need to make some adjustments. Evaluate how you're doing and see where your plans might need to change in order to get you to your North Star. This roadmap is essentially your adventure map for getting to your North Star, your end destination. This should help with motivation, clarity, and focus in order to get you to where you want to be in the next 3 years. Number 6, do the next right thing. Once you have the previous step implemented, all that is left is to follow the path before you and to do the next right thing. There will inevitably be times in your life where stuff comes into play while en route to your North Star and forging a new life for yourself. That's just life. Nothing will ever go 100% according to plan. When you find yourself in this position, it's good to remember the simple but effective action plan. Just do the next right thing. And then after a series of next right things, the path ahead will become more clear and the next right thing will reveal itself to you. What is the next right thing that I can do that will make the most difference right now? And then do that. From there, we can go back to the system we created and redo those steps and procedures to get to a strategy and a plan that works. So, in conclusion, ultimately, when we feel lost or stuck in life, it can feel like we're stuck in a foggy place, not knowing which direction to go. So our first point of call should be to find clarity and vision, so we can focus on where we are and then focus our sights on where we need to go once we've moved out of the fog. Then focus on enjoying the journey ahead of us, making sure that we take stops along the way, take some photos and enjoy the scenery as we write our own story. I'd also recommend watching my video on trying things. Often once we're busy trying things and we gain traction on the things that we're trying, we will start to feel less behind in life. That is all for this video. Take care and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.